everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be decorating for the holidays a little bit. I'm so excited. Holidays are up ahead. They'll be here before we know it. And I want to start my holiday decorating by making a really simple wreath that will take you 20 to 30 minutes, providing you have some materials on hand. And there's really just a few materials on my list here today. So we're going to be making I'm going to call it an embellished, winter embellished or holiday embellished grapevine wreath. So materials that we need are going to be a wreath base here. So think about where you're going to put it, and that will really depend on the size. You could also do a straw wreath base. Just get creative with your base. I made this, but you can purchase these and they're relatively inexpensive. Now my wreath base here, because it's handmade, it's a little irregular. It's more like an oval, but I'm just going to measure it so you know what I'm working with here. It is about 22 inches in diameter. I'm going to use this either here on this wall, or I'm going to use it next to my front door. You could also be putting it on your front door. Okay, so that, and we're going to use a few greens. Now, like I said, whatever you have on hand. So I've got some spruce and some pine, and that's going to be my greens. You can use what you have. So think about what you have in your yard. You may have some arborvitae. You may have some Pieris japonica. Anything evergreen is going to be really pretty. I like to have a lot of texture, so just think about that. And this is a trick that I like to do. I missed the boat on gathering my hydrangeas in the fall when they were a pretty mauve. So I went ahead and just picked them, and they're brown, of course, at this point, but I sprayed them, and I just used a cranberry spray paint. It doesn't have to be a floral paint. It can just be regular old spray paint, matte, gloss, whatever your preference is. And then I like to add in a few dried things, and I have a lot of things hanging here that I may incorporate, so it depends what you have. I've got some pretty red cleome and amaranth, so I may use that. Maybe a pop of white if I have some baby's breath. But I also have, I've been looking for a use for this, some burgundy dried eucalyptus. So left over from another project. So another option for gathering some interesting texture is to go to your local flower shop or grocery store and just look around to see what they have for greens or flowers for that matter, and dry them yourself. And I like to dry mine just using the simple hanging air dry method, and I do have a video on that because I do a lot of that, because y'all know I love my flowers and I like to bring them in the winter as well. And then we're just going to need some ribbon, our embellishment, and of course our pruners, some wire cutters, and then you need some kind of wire to adhere your plant material onto the wreath base. So I love this raffia wrapped wire because it blends right in. I may also use my green coated wire on a roll here. If you have strips, that's fine too. Or zip ties. So I like to give you options, and I will put up some of these items for you in the description. I'll give you some links. Okay, like I said, this is real quick. So we're not going to be decorating the whole wreath. We're pinched on time and we're looking to get some decorations up. So I'm going to think about which way I want to hang it, because like I said, it's an oval. We're working with a handmade wreath base today. And then we're going to make some sprays. Now, because I have the pine, the Scotch pine, I'm going to get my gloves out. A little bit sticky to work with. Okay, so all we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a few sprays and adhering it on the wreath down in the corner here. So I'm not going to be covering the whole entire wreath. So essentially, we're going to be making some little bouquets. So we're just going to try to get them ready That will make the process go a little quicker. Okay, so for the bunches, we are going to get them ready. Remember, we're just making some little bouquets. Now I'm putting the green in the back, and I'm going to put a little bit of the burgundy eucalyptus. You may have some green, some bluish green eucalyptus. That would be really pretty too. But I'm doing this because I'm afraid that the burgundy might not really pop with the color of the grapevine. Okay. Then I always like to give it a test before I start wiring things on. So I'm going to be doing a little spray down here in the corner. This is going to be a nice little versatile wreath too. Now I always go a little bit fluffier and leave some length on my bouquets because then I can give it a haircut later if I don't love it. Okay, so I'm going to work with my wire here. I'm going to leave it on the roll while I'm working in this direction here. And so when you're using your roll, and it's just a hot tip, just leave it on the roll and then just try to adhere it when you're starting off somewhere in the back of the wreath, so that when you pull it, it's snug and it won't come undone as you're working. So I'm really just twisting it off and hiding it in the back here. Okay, so now you want to go around a couple times here. Pull it tight so it's secure. And then go ahead and make another bunch. Okay, so I have 2 bunches here going upright, and then I'm going to do another 2 bunches here. And this one's a little smaller, it's the first one. And I'm going to be going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to need to give this bunch a little bit of a haircut. Just cut the stems a little bit so it's not showing in the center here. And we are going to have our bow here, so that's okay. So I'm wrapping it 2 or 3 times. You just want to make sure that it's secure. Okay. So now, in order to get my last bunch on, I am just going to cut the wire or use a zip tie because it'll be really difficult to sneak this under here. So wire cutters. So we're going to cut it. We're going to leave about 8-10 inches, and that's so we can find a spot on the wreath and secure it, because you don't want this to come undone here. So I'm going to try to secure it here to the grapevine. Okay, so now you could cut a piece of wire. I'm just going to use a zip tie because we're doing this quickly here. And we're going to put the last bunch, which I already have right here. We're going to put the last bunch on using a zip tie. Also, you could use the wire. Okay, so just going to go around here. Okay, we're just gonna put that on nice and tight. I wrapped it around the whole base. Okay, this is what we have so far. Now, as you can see, making this type of wreath, you need a lot less materials. So, like I said, this is a great project if you are pinched on time. There's a lot to do. The holidays are coming, and we want to get some beautiful decorations up. Now we just embellish it. So I've got a couple extra hydrangeas, and I know where there's more brown hydrangea flowers, so I could always add those. We can add some of those in, and to do that, you simply cut it and just try to weave it in where you've wrapped your wire or your zip tie. So you can do a little more there. And maybe we'll put the bow on first and see if we want to use that last one. Okay, so here it is so far. I'm loving it. And I've got some ribbon here. I've got a ton of ribbon, so I always try to narrow it down and just bring out a couple. This here, the burgundy or cranberry velvet, I think is going to go really nicely with my cranberry sprayed hydrangeas. So I'm going to opt for this one. Okay, so hot tip on ribbon here. You can get a lot of bargains at the dollar store on ribbon, or any store for that matter. The hot tip is make sure you have at least 3 yards of ribbon on your roll. So 3 yards is what you're going to need to make a nice bow. So I don't have a yardstick handy typically when I'm making bows. So I will just do 3 arms length. And if you want it drapey like I do, you just go a little extra. And we're just going to make a real simple bow here today. So I'm not even going to wire a bow. I'm just going to wrap it around. Simple. Sometimes simple is even prettier. So do that. I'm going to double knot it just so it doesn't come undone. A lot of times you can buy this velvet ribbon and it'll have gold on the back, so that would be really cute. Mine's cranberry on the back, still pretty, but that is a nice little added bonus if you can find that. Kind of like it just like it is. Okay. There it is. So this is over here, one of my options for hanging it. And all I'll say is if you're using real greens and you're putting them inside, they're probably going to dry out a little bit quicker. Okay, this is the wreath. So I am going to leave it here for a little bit, and then I'm going to experiment by putting it by my front door, and I will bring you a little video clip of that as well. But I just want to say a couple of great things about this wreath. 1, quick. 2, not a lot of materials. Use what you have on hand. So that means easier on the budget. And 3, it's pretty versatile. So I'm always thinking about the next holiday. That's what we do as gardeners and florists. So I'm thinking about Valentine's Day because I will be able to keep this wreath up all winter long through a couple of holidays. And I think it's pretty versatile. If I want, I can switch out the ribbons and embellish it with some hearts and whatnot. But what a great, inexpensive, versatile wreath. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I am super excited about the holidays. I appreciate all of you at home watching. Stay healthy, stay happy, and join us again next time for some more gardening fun.